Okay, welcome back everyone. This is a Delta Workbook. It's Mr. Australia here, and this is lesson 5. Today we're calculating percentage change. Now, in our previous lessons, we were increasing or decreasing an amount by a percentage, and now we've been given that amount that's been increased or decreased, and we're asked to work out what the percentage change has been. If you haven't done so already, just pause the video and have a go at the doing now questions. Okay, first of all, question 1. We've got a mixed number, subtract a standard fraction. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this mixed number into an improper fraction. So we've got 3 and 2/5. Well, I need to think about how many fifths will be in 3 wholes. In one whole, there are 5/5, 2 wholes, 10/5, so 3 wholes will be 15/5. I then need to add on my additional 2/5. So 3 and 2/5, that's going to go to 17/5. Okay, 3 times 5, 15, add the 2, and we've got 17. And then we're subtracting 3/4. What I now need to do is I need my common denominator. How do we get that? We multiply by the denominator of the other fraction. So here our common denominator is going to be 20. We're subtracting our fractions. And I now need to transform my numerators. Because I multiplied my denominator by 4, I must multiply my numerator by 4. 10 times 4, 40, 7 times 4, 28. Combine those and you get 68. Next, we multiplied 4 by 5 to get our common denominator of 20. So I'm going to need to multiply my numerator by 5 as well. 3 times 5 gives me 15. Okay, 68, subtract 15, that leaves you with 53/20. So your final answer there, we cannot simplify that fraction any further, 53/20. You can turn it into a mixed number as well though. So it's going to be 53/20 or 2 and 13/20. Okay, for our next question, we've been asked to simplify. And we've got 3x squared multiplied by x cubed. 3x squared multiplied by x cubed. Okay, we've got the same base. We've got x and x. We're multiplying. That means we will need to add our powers. So let's just forget we had this 3 here for a moment. If we just had x squared multiplied by x to the power of 3, x cubed, then it's going to be x to the power of 5, our final answer. But we had 3 lots of this x squared, then multiplied by x cubed. So we're going to have 3 lots of x to the power of 5. Now, we always, because of BIDMAS, our order of operations, we must simplify those indices first. Okay, 2 add 3 gives you 5. And then we've got all of that multiplied by 3. So it'll be 3x to the power of 5 there. Okay, this next one, we've been asked to find the gradient. Whenever you're asked to find the gradient, y-intercept, you want to be thinking about y equals mx plus c. That's the format that you want your equation of the line to be in, because once it's in that format, you can easily see what the gradient is or the y-intercept. So let's do a bit of rearranging. We started with 3y minus 6x. And that was equal to 2. I just want my y's on this side of the equal sign, so my 3y can stay there. That means I'm going to add 6x to both sides, so we'd have positive 6x here, and then we've got a positive 2. Next, I don't want 3y, I want 1y. How will I get from 3y to 1y? I will divide by 3. So I need to do the same to the other side of my equation to keep it all balanced. 6x divided by 3 leaves me with 2x. Positive 2 divided by 3 will be positive 2/3 or plus 2/3. Now, your gradient, that is always going to be the value in front of the x. Your m value here is 2. So our gradient is just going to be positive 2. Okay, next we've got an equation here. I'm going to write this one out and solve it step by step. Whenever you're solving equations, it's always a good idea to go one step at a time because they will normally be worth more than 1 mark, and you need to show the person marking it that you understand each step. And even if you make a mistake in the final answer, you could potentially pick up some method marks. So we've got 3x plus 4 all over 2, that means divided by 2, and that's equal to 11. So first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this divided by 2. Okay, to get rid of something, you need to do the inverse. What is the inverse of dividing by 2? It's multiplying by 2. So if I multiply the left-hand side by 2, all of that highlighted in blue will have gone because I've done the inverse of dividing by 2, multiplying by 2, and I need to keep my equation balanced and multiply the other side by 2. I just want x equals, so I now need to get rid of any of the numbers on this side. How do you get rid of positive 4? You do the inverse, subtracting 4. So we need to do the same thing to the other side of the equal sign as well. And how will you get from 3x to 1x? You divide by 3. Okay, from 3x to 1x divided by 3. Do the same to the other side, 18 divided by 3, and you get 6. So final answer there, x is equal to 6. It's always important as well, put the term equal to the number. Don't just write the number 6. You have found that x is equal to 6, so that's what you need to write as well. Okay, number 5, we're factorising this expression. I'll just write it a little larger so we can see it. And factorising. So you need to look at all parts of the expression and take out a factor that is common to all parts of it. First, let's look at our numbers, 3 and 4. Okay, do they have any common factors? They do not. The only common factor there is 1, and that doesn't really help us because if we take out a factor of 1, it still leaves the same thing. What else do we have in both parts of the expression? Well, we've got an x in both sides. That means that we can take an x out as a factor outside our bracket. I now, because I've taken out the common factor to all parts of the expression, I now work backwards. What do I multiply x by to get 3x squared? Well, x times x will give you the x squared. So x times 3x will give you 3x squared. Then, how do we get negative 4x? Well, x multiplied by 4 gives you 4x. So x multiplied by negative 4 will give you negative 4x. Okay, finally, here we've been given the nth term, so this is slightly different to some of the others we've seen so far. We've been told that the nth term is 5n minus 3. Now, in the nth term, n, okay, n stands for the number term in the sequence, and the nth term is the rule describing that sequence. We've been asked to find the 50th term, okay, 50th term. And the n, that just stands for the number term in the sequence. So for the 50th term, n is going to equal 50. So I'm just going to substitute that in to my nth term. N is equal to 50 on the 50th term. And now I'm ready to simplify. 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 times 50, 250. And then 250 take away 3 leaves you with 247. So we've used the nth term there to find that the 50th term is going to be 247. Okay then. Right, so today, what we're doing is we're looking at percentage change. Okay? And we're trying to work out what the percentage change has been. So we're going to be given the original price of an object, a thing. It might be a house, an item of clothing. It might be a bag of flour, something that you've bought. Okay, so it will have some units, and then you'll be given its new price. You're either going to decrease in amount or increase in amount. So what we want to do to find the percentage decrease is the first thing we need to do is work out what the difference is, the difference between the original amount and the new amount. Okay, that's what we've done here. That's part 1. We found the difference. Okay, then you want to take your difference and divide it by the original amount, whatever that original amount was. That's what we're doing here for 2. Okay. Once you've done that, you'll get a decimal value. And if you think back to some of our previous work that we've done, we don't want a decimal, we've been asked for a percentage. How do you go from a decimal to a percentage? You multiply by 100. So here, if you did, let's have a look, I'll just get my highlighter up. So if we're looking at this, 6/15, that is 6 divided by 15, or 2 divided by 5. If you did 2 divided by 5, you would get 0.4%. Sorry, 0.4. And if you want to go from a decimal to a percentage, you will need to multiply by 100. And because you were asked for the percentage change, you will need to get that decimal value as a percentage. So it would be 40%, because you're multiplying by 100. Jump 1, 2. Okay. Right, and that's a very similar thing to what they're doing down here with example 2. In example 2, again, they started by calculating the difference. They've made sure that they've calculated the difference first. Okay. Once they've calculated the difference, then they've written the new amount divided by the original amount. I think this formula that I've got down here is going to be a more helpful one for you guys to try and remember. So if we've got a percentage increase, we're taking the new value, subtracting the initial value, and then we're dividing that by the initial value. That will give us the decimal increase, if you'd like. And then to go from that to the percentage, we multiply by 100. For a percentage decrease, it's very, very similar, but because you're decreasing, to work out the difference between amounts, you will start with your initial value and then take away your new value, just the other way around. Once you've done that, you'll divide by the original value, the initial value, and then multiply by 100 to get its percentage. Key things to remember here. The key things here are to find your original amount. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find the difference between new and original. Okay, so the difference between the new and the original. And then you're going to divide that by whatever your original amount was. Finally, because you're trying to find the percentage change to go from a decimal to a percentage, you would need to multiply that by 100. Okay, right. Let's put that into practice and have a go at some of our questions here. Okay then, so key thing here is I need to work out what the difference was between the original price and the new price. So for question 1A, I'll do that down here actually, question 1A. Okay, so 1A. Price of £10 is increased to £12. So I take my new amount, subtract the original amount, and then I'm going to divide that by whatever the original amount was. Here it started off at £10, that was my original amount. Once I've done all of that, I will get a decimal. I want the percentage change, so I then need to multiply it by 100. Okay, I now just need to simplify that a bit. Earlier, I said you must find the difference between the new and the original, so that's the 12 minus the 10, and that will give us 2. Then we're going to do 2 divided by 10 and multiply it by 100. 2 divided by 10 is 0.2. Multiply that by 100 and we get 20. So the final answer there is going to be 20%. Okay, so that was 1A. Now let's have a look at 1B. Do that here. Okay, this time we've gone from £20 to £22. We just want the difference between them. So we're going to do 22, take away 20. Now, what was your original amount here? A price of 20 was increased to £22. So your original amount here was 20. Okay, that is always going to go on the bottom of your fraction here. You're always going to be dividing by the original amount, what it started with. Then we multiply that by 100. Let's simplify a bit now. So that will give us 22 minus 20 gives us 2. 22 over 20, that's the same as 0.1. And then multiply that by 100. And what do we get? We get 10. So our percentage increase this time was 10%. So again, we've found the difference in amounts. We've divided that by whatever the original amount was. Okay, so difference between amounts. Divide it by the original and then multiply by 100. And that gives you the percentage. Okay, so that was question 1. Let's put that into practice again, and we'll see how we get on with question 2. Okay then. So question 2. The price of £10 is increased to £8 to A. So £10 to £8. So we started at £10. Then we've gone to £8. What was our original amount? Well, we started with £10, so that was our original amount. Okay, and then we're going to have to multiply it by 100 to go from our decimal to our percentage. Okay, 10 take away 8 gives us 2. 2 divided by 10, or 2/10, is the same as 0.2. And so our final answer there is going to be 20%. Okay, I'll do B now. I'll do that in a slightly different colour. We'll go blue. Okay, so our price of 25 was decreased to 22. So we started with 25, decreased to 22, and our original amount, the amount that we started with, was 25. Okay, and then we're going to multiply by 100 to give us our percentage. 25 take away 22 leaves you with 3. 3 divided by 22. Here you could use a calculator or you could use a bus stop method. 3 divided by 22, you're going to get a decimal result. Okay, and if you do that, you get 0.12. So you've got 0.12 multiplied by 100, and that leaves you with 12%. Okay, so we found that to be 12%. Okay then. So for number 3, they've split it up into different sections, and the reason why they've done that is they're trying to get you to follow the steps, the different steps. And those different steps are what we were using in our original method anyways. Let's have a look. So 3A, find the difference in the number of people working for the company. Well, normally for our method, we would just find the difference. So to do that, we would do 72 take away 45. This is the answer to part A. And then we will divide that by the original amount. So the number of people working for a company increases from 45. So that's your original, 45. Okay, and the first step of our working out is actually answering part A anyways. We do 72 subtract 45, and that leaves us with 27. Okay, and that's your difference. So the difference there is going to be 27. Right, your answer to part A is a fraction of the original amount. That's what we've got here. Because we always take the difference between the new amounts and divide that by the original. So I'll just write that in a slightly different color now. That would be 27 divided by 45, or 27/45. And then finally, we're trying to find what the actual percentage increase was. So we would do 27 divided by 45, and you would get 0.6 there. So we get 0.6 6. Multiply that by 100, and you find that that is 60%. Okay, so from 45 to 72, that is an increase of 60%. So as you can see, that's why I think that this method will be best for you guys at the moment, because in essence, this method, it goes step by step and it answers each part of these questions for you. Right, number 4. So Percy's on a healthy eating plan. His weight drops from 80 to 68. So in this one, we've started with 80. We've dropped to 68. We've started on 80, so that was our original amount. And then we need to remember to multiply by 100 to get it as a percentage. Okay, so part A, they're asking find the amount of weight Percy has lost. We're doing that anyways in our initial step. That would just be the difference between the starting weight, the initial amount, and the new weight, the new amount. So 80 take away 68. Well, 80 take 60 gives you 20. 20 take 8 leaves you with 12. So we've got 12 divided by 80. Why have we got 80 as our denominator here? Because 80 was the original amount. It was the starting amount, the amount the person weighed at the beginning. Okay, next we need to do 12 divided by 80. You could try simplifying it as a fraction. You could do 12 divided by 80. Either way, you will end up getting 0.15. Multiply that by 100 and you get 15%. So the amount of weight Percy lost, that was the initial amount, it was 12. It's all in kilograms, so our units will be kilograms there. And the percentage decrease in Percy's weight was 15%. Okay, we're now on question 5. This is question 5. In an experiment, the mass of a chemical drops from 35 grams to 69 grams. So started at 75, yep, and then dropped to 69. Our original amount was 75, that's what it started with. And then we're finding it as a percentage, so we're multiplying by 100. Okay, 75 minus 69, you're going to be left with 6 there, 75ths, and then multiplying by 100. Okay, 6 divided by 75, you'll end up getting 0.08. Multiply that by 100 to get it as a percentage, and we get 8%. Find the percentage decrease. Let's write that in a different color so it's a bit clearer. It was 8%. Okay, final question now. Question 6. The price of a local newspaper increases from 80p to £1. Find the percentage increase. The tricky part here is the different units. Whenever you're doing percentage change, percentage increase, reverse percentages, anything like that, you must make sure that everything you're using has the same units. Here we've got pence and pounds. So the first thing I'm going to do, because we're going to be doing division, so it's going to be quite difficult if we go all in pounds, because then we've got decimal numbers. Much easier for us to stick with 80p and then go £1, that will be 100p. Okay, £1 is 100p. So these are the amounts I'm going to be using, and it increases from 80p to 100p. So to find the difference, do that first. And then we're dividing by our original amount. Because it was an increase, our original amount was 80. Okay, 80 pence. And then we're multiplying that by 100. Right, 100 take away 80. That leaves you with 20. So you've got 20 over 80, all multiplied by 100. Simplify that. Again, you could treat this as a fraction if you wanted. You've got 2/8, which is the same as 1/4, which is the same as 0.25. Okay, so 20 divided by 80 is the same as 0.25. You want to multiply that by 100 to get it as a percentage, and then you're done. You've got 25%. So the percentage increase 25%. And we finished today's lesson. Same as always, if you'd like to extend yourself further, or if you'd like to practice this a bit more, have a look at the Hegarty video 97 and then try some of the Hegarty questions. They'll give you some instant feedback, and you can message me through Hegarty if there's anything you're unsure about. If you want to challenge yourself, have a look at the Corbett link. It will be task 233. They'll have a video there. They'll have a textbook exercise with some excellent apply questions at the end, and also some practice questions, which are the sort of questions you might get if you were asked something on this topic in an exam. Okay, thanks again, everyone, and see you in the next lesson.